参政党の理念は国益を守り、世界に大調和を作ることです。
Your countries are going to hell, going to hell.
Teeny's 16-year-old girl. Her body was found in an abandoned building in the San Lorenzo district in Rome. A picture of her was tweeted out by the Italian news agency. She was drugged and raped and believed to have died from an overdose. Well, state police have arrested 3 people. They tweeted this picture of one of the suspects they'd arrested in connection with this. The 3 people are migrants from Senegal and Nigeria, and this has reignited the immigration debate.
Less than a decade ago, Sweden had one of the lowest levels of gun crime in Europe. Now, they're the second highest. In Stockholm, gun violence is roughly 30 times that of London. The country is engulfed in a gang war, which is almost entirely run by people with a migration background.
こちらの映像はイスラム教徒の難民を保護していたドイツ人夫妻がそろそろ出て行ってほしいと打診したところ、それまでの恩を忘れ刃物を持って逆上している男性を映したものです。あなた方の国は地獄に向かっています。今年の9月、国連総会においてトランプ大統領が演説を行いました。そこで国連の腐敗ぶりを糾弾するとともに、ヨーロッパの国々に向かって放った言葉がこれでした。大きな理由として挙げたのが2つ。1つは移民政策、そしてもう1つはエネルギー政策に関してでした。果たしてその真意とは？先日の11月6日、国会にて、参政党の神谷代表による代表質問が行われました。参政党の理念や、反グローバリズムについての考え方の説明に始まり、減税やコロナの予防接種の検証、SNS 規制の問題、教育問題、そして緊急事態条項など、大手メディアではなかなか扱わないけれど多くの国民が懸念に思っていることを、ズバリ切り込んでくれたと、おおむね好評だったように感じます。そして、質問の中に含まれていたものとして、くしくもトランプ大統領がヨーロッパに対する懸念として挙げた移民政策とエネルギー政策がありました。どちらも消費税減税とともに国民の日常に直結する大事な問題。その国会の様子を見ながら、なぜかこのトランプ大統領の演説を思い出したので、皆さんと共有させていただきますね。すでにこの演説を視聴された方も多いかと思いますが、2ヶ月経った今、改めて見返してみると、深く考えさせられる部分があります。前編ではなくダイジェストになりますが、このトランプ大統領と神谷代表の言葉、そして彼らの政治姿勢や国家に対する思いをお聞きいただき、日本が取り組むべき課題、海外に追随するのではなく、真の自立した国家とは何か、そして高市政権の行く末について考えていただければと思います。まずは、改めてトランプ大統領の言葉から、どうぞ。
So I'm ready to discuss this. We're going to discuss it today with the European nations, all gathered here. I'm sure they're thrilled to hear me speak about it, but that's the way it is. I like to speak my mind and speak the truth. Not only is the UN not solving the problems it should, too often, it's actually creating new problems for us to solve. The best example is the number one political issue of our time, the crisis of uncontrolled migration. It's uncontrolled. Your countries are being ruined. The United Nations is funding an assault on Western countries and their borders. In 2024, the UN budgeted $372 million in cash assistance to support an estimated 624,000 migrants journeying into the United States. Think of that. The UN is supporting people that are illegally coming into the United States. The UN is supposed to stop invasions, not create them and not finance them. In the United States, we reject the idea that mass numbers of people from foreign lands can be permitted to travel halfway around the world trample our borders, violate our sovereignty, cause unmitigated crime, and deplete our social safety net. We have reasserted that America belongs to the American people, and I encourage all countries to take their own stand in defense of their citizens as well. You have to do that because I see it. I'm not mentioning names. I see it, and I can call every single one of them out. You're destroying your countries. They're being destroyed. Europe is in serious trouble. They've been invaded by a force of illegal aliens like nobody's ever seen before. Illegal aliens are pouring into Europe. Nobody is ever, and nobody's doing anything to change it, to get them out. It's not sustainable. And because they choose to be politically correct, they're doing just absolutely nothing about it. And I have to say, I look at London where you have a terrible mayor, terrible mayor. And it's been so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law. But you're in a different country. You can't do that. Both the immigration and their suicidal energy ideas will be the death of Western Europe if something is not done immediately. This cannot be sustained. What makes the world so beautiful is that each country is unique. But to stay this way, every sovereign nation must have the right to control their own borders. You have the right to control your borders, as we do now, and to limit the sheer numbers of migrants entering their countries and paid for by the people of that nation that were there and that built that particular nation at the time. They put their blood, sweat, tears, money into that country, and now they're being ruined. Proud nations must be allowed to protect their communities and prevent their societies from being overwhelmed by people they have never seen before, with different customs, religions, with different everything. Where migrants have violated laws, lodged false asylum claims, or claimed refugee status for illegitimate reasons, they should, in many cases, be immediately sent home. According to the Council of Europe, in 2024, almost 50% of inmates in German prisons were foreign nationals or migrants. In Austria, the number was 53% of the people in prisons were from places that weren't from where they are now. In Greece, the number was 54%, and in Switzerland, beautiful Switzerland, 72% of the people in prisons are from outside of Switzerland. When your prisons are filled with so-called asylum seekers who repaid kindness, and that's what they did, they repaid kindness with crime, it's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. See, I can tell you, your countries are going to hell. Yet that is exactly what the globalist migration agenda has done, and it's what it's all about. Energy is another area where the United States is now thriving like never before. We're getting rid of the falsely named renewables. By the way, they're a joke. They don't work. They're too expensive. They're not strong enough to fire up the plants that you need to make your country great. The wind doesn't blow. Those big windmills are so pathetic and so bad, so expensive to operate. Then they have to be rebuilt all the time, and they start to rust and rot. Most expensive energy ever conceived, and it's actually energy. You're supposed to make money with energy, not lose money. You lose money, the governments have to subsidize. You can't put them out without massive subsidies. And most of them are built in China, and I give China a lot of credit. They build them, but they have very few wind farms. So why is it that they build them and they send them all over the world, but they barely use them? You know what they use? Coal. They use gas. They use almost anything, but they don't like wind. But they sure as hell like selling the windmills. Europe, on the other hand, has a long way to go, with many countries being on the brink of destruction because of the green energy agenda. And I give a lot of credit to Germany. Germany was being led down a very sick path, both on immigration, by the way, and on energy. They were going green, and they were going bankrupt. And the new leadership came in, and they went back to where they were. with fossil fuel and with nuclear, which is good. It's now safe, and you can do it properly. But they went back to where they were, and they opened up a lot of different plants, energy-producing plants, and they're doing well. I give Germany a lot of credit for that. They've said this is a disaster, what's happening. They were going all green. All green is all bankrupt. That's what it represents. And it's not politically correct. I'll be very badly criticized for saying it, but I'm here to tell the truth. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. In 1982, the executive director of the United Nations Environmental Program predicted that by the year 2000, climate change would cause a global catastrophe. He said that it will be irreversible, as any nuclear holocaust would be. This is what they said at the United Nations. What happened? Here we are. Another UN official stated in 1989 that within a decade, entire nations could be wiped off the map by global warming. Not happening. You know, it used to be global cooling. If you look back years ago in the 1920s and the 1930s, they said, global cooling will kill the world. We have to do something. Then they said global warming will kill the world. But then it started getting cooler. So now they could just call it climate change, because that way they can't miss. It's climate change. Because if it goes higher or lower, whatever the hell happens, there's climate change. It's the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world, in my opinion. Climate change, no matter what happens, you're involved in that. No more global warming, no more global cooling. All of these predictions made by the United Nations and many others, often for bad reasons, were wrong. They were made by stupid people that have cost their countries fortunes and given those same countries no chance for success. If you don't get away from this green scam, your country is going to fail. And I'm really good at predicting things, you know. They actually said during the campaign they had a hat, the best-selling hat. Trump was right about everything. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but it's true. And I'm telling you that if you don't get away from the green energy scam, your country is going to fail. And if you don't stop people that you've never seen before, that you have nothing in common with, your country is going to fail. I'm the president of the United States, but I worry about Europe. I love Europe. I love the people of Europe. And I hate to see it being devastated by energy and immigration. This double-tailed monster destroys everything in its wake, and they cannot let that happen any longer. You're doing it because you want to be nice. You want to be politically correct, and you're destroying your heritage. They must take control strongly and immediately of the unmitigated immigration disaster and the fake energy catastrophe before it's too late. The carbon footprint is a hoax made up by people with evil intentions, and they're heading down a path of total destruction. At extreme cost and expense, Europe reduced its own carbon footprint by 37%. Think of that. Congratulations, Europe. Great job. You cost yourself a lot of jobs, a lot of factories closed, but you reduced the carbon footprint by 37%. However, for all of that sacrifice and much more, it's been totally wiped out and then some by a global increase of 54%. Much of it coming from China and other countries that are thriving around China, which now produces more CO2 than all the other developed nations in the world. So all of these countries are working so hard on the carbon footprint, which is nonsense, by the way. It's nonsense. You know, it's interesting. In the United States, we have still radicalized environmentalists, and they want the factories to stop. Everything should stop. No more cows. We don't want cows anymore. I guess they want to kill all the cows. They want to do things that are just unbelievable, and you have it too. But, you know, we have a border, strong, and we have a shape, and that shape doesn't just go straight up. That shape is amorphous when it comes to the atmosphere. And if we had the most clean air, and I think we do, we have very clean air. We have the cleanest air we've had in many, many years. But the problem is that other countries, like China, which has air that's a little bit rough. It blows. And no matter what you're doing down here, the air up here tends to get very dirty because it comes in from other countries where their air isn't so clean. And the environmentalists refuse to acknowledge that. The primary effect of these brutal green energy policies has not been to help the environment, but to redistribute manufacturing and industrial activity from developed countries that follow the insane rules that are put down to polluting countries that break the rules and are making a fortune. They're making a fortune. European electricity bills are now 4 to 5 times more expensive than those in China, and 2 to 3 times higher than the United States. And our bills are coming way down. You probably see that our gasoline prices are way down. That's why in America I withdrew from the fake Paris Climate Accord, where, by the way, America was paying so much more than every country. Others weren't paying. China didn't have to pay until 2030. Russia was given an old standard that was easy to meet, a 1990 standard. But for the United States, we're supposed to pay like $1 trillion. And I said, this is another scam. The fact is, the United States has been taken advantage of by the world for many, many years, but not any longer, as you probably noticed. I unleashed massive energy production and signed historic executive orders to hunt for oil, but we don't have to do much hunting because we have the most oil of any nation anywhere, oil and gas in the world. And if you add coal, we have the most of any nation in the world. Clean, I call it clean, beautiful coal. You can do things today with coal that you couldn't have done 10 years ago, 15 years. So I have a little standing order in the White House. Never use the word coal, only use the words clean, beautiful coal. Sounds much better, doesn't it? But we stand ready to provide any country with abundant, affordable energy supplies if you need them, when most of you do. We're proudly exporting energy all over the world. We're now the largest exporter. In the United States, we want trade and robust commerce with all nations, everybody. We want to help nations. We're going to help nations. Next year, the United States will celebrate the 250th anniversary of our glorious independence, a testament to enduring power and American freedom and spirit. We will also be proudly hosting the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and shortly thereafter the 2028 Olympics, which is going to be very exciting. I hope you all come. I hope that countless people from all over the globe will take part of these will be great celebrations of liberty and human achievement, and that together we all can rejoice in the miracles of history that began in July 4th, 1776, when we founded the light to all nations. And it's something really that an amazing thing came out of that date. It's called the United States of America. In honor of this momentous anniversary, I hope that all countries who find inspiration in our example will join us in renewing our commitment, values, and those values really that we hold so dear. Together, let us defend free speech and free expression. Let us protect religious liberty, including for the most persecuted religion on the planet today. It's called Christianity. And let us safeguard our sovereignty and cherish qualities that have made each of our nations so special, incredible, and extraordinary. In closing, I just want to repeat that immigration and the high cost of so-called green renewable energy is destroying a large part of the free world and a large part of our planet. Countries that cherish freedom are fading fast because of their policies on these two subjects. You need strong borders and traditional energy sources if you are going to be great again. Whether you have come from north or south, east or west, near or far, every leader in this beautiful hall today represents a rich culture, a noble history, and a proud heritage that makes each nation majestic and unique, unlike anything else in human history or any other place on the face of the earth. From London to Lima, from Rome to Athens, from Paris to Seoul, from Cairo to Tokyo and Amsterdam to right here in New York City, we stand on the shoulders of the leaders and legends, generals and giants, heroes and titans who won and built our beloved nations all of our nations, with their own courage, strength, spirit, and skill. Our ancestors climbed mountains, conquered oceans, crossed deserts, and trekked over wide open plains. They charged into thunderous battles, plunged into grave dangers, and they were soldiers and farmers and workers and warriors and explorers and patriots. They built towns into cities, tribes into kingdoms, ideas into industries, and small islands into mighty empires. You're a part of all of that. They were champions for their people who never gave up and who never, ever gave in. Their values defined our national identities. Their visions forged our magnificent destiny. Everybody in this room is a part of it in your own way. Each of us inherits the deeds and the myths, the triumphs, the legacies of our own heroes and founders who so bravely showed us the way. Our ancestors gave everything for homelands that they defended with pride, with sweat, with blood, with life, and with death. Now the righteous task of protecting the nations that they built belongs to each and every one of us. So together let us uphold our sacred duty to our people and to our citizens. Let us protect their borders, ensure their safety, preserve their cultures, treasure, and traditions, and fight, fight, fight for their precious dreams and their cherished freedoms. And in friendship and really a beautiful vision, let us all work together to build a bright, beautiful planet, a planet that we all share, a planet of peace and a world that is richer, better, and more beautiful than ever before. That can happen. It will happen. It will happen, and I hope it can happen and start right now, right at this moment. We'll turn it around. We're going to make our countries better, safer, more beautiful. We're going to take care of our people. Thank you very much. It's been an honor. God bless the nations of the world. Thank you very much. Bye.
いかがだったでしょうか。演説最後のトランプ大統領の国家や文化、アイデンティティについて語る部分では心に響くものがあったのではないでしょうか。ヨーロッパのとあるメディアも後日このように語っていました。
Well, President Trump's not wrong, is he? And you all know the details of that, don't you? Well, it's quite clear to me Trump was just saying what all of us know to be true. And you know what? He's done something about it. I agree with Donald Trump that our countries are going to hell.
100%. And President Trump's worried about the whole world. He's worried about the collapse of Western civilization, and he wants to help save Europe. I think that's a very noble thing to do. I thought his speech was powerful. I think the people of the world are standing up and cheering for President Trump. I think we've got to root out these globalist elected officials and globalists. Anybody who thinks the globalist vision is the vision for the world needs to go, and voters need to, with every bit of energy they have, vote these people out of office, get them out of office. They're the ones responsible for pushing this agenda of moving people in sometimes war-torn countries or countries that have strife, rather than finding them refugee homes or a placement in the country next door or two countries over. They moved them 7,000 miles away. They moved them into Sweden. They moved them into London, where there's no assimilation, no similarity in culture, no similarity in religion. There's only one reason they would do that, and that is to topple Europe. This is an invasion of Europe through globalist agenda of mass migration, and they never had to fire a single shot. They've invaded these countries by pouring in and forcing in and paying to move in tens upon tens of millions of people into countries where there just is absolutely no assimilation.
では最後に改めて11月6日の神谷代表が語る参政党の理念についてお聞きください。
参政党の理念は国益を守り、世界に大調和を作ることです。国益とは国民の暮らしと誇りを守ることであり、国民には今を生きる我々だけではなく、日本を作ってきたご先祖様とこれから生まれてくる子どもたちも含まれます。世界の大調和とは、日本が真に自立をし、バランスオブパワーにより世界の軍事的な衝突、戦争や争いをなくしていくことです。スローガンは日本人ファースト。行き過ぎたグローバリズムに歯止めをかけ、 反グローバリズムの政策を進めるという思いを込めたものでした。グローバリズムとは、情報や交通の発達により、多国籍企業が台頭し、富と権力が一部の大企業や富裕層、ロビーストといったグローバルエリートに集中し、彼らが国の主権を超えて市場やルールを作って、世界を動かしていく行為や思想のことを指します。彼らは国境をなくし、人、物、金の移動を自由にし、世界を一つにすることが正義であり、そうして生まれてくる混在化社会を多様性だと評価します。しかしその結果を見ると、経済格差の拡大、民主主義の機能不全、中産階級の貧困化が進み、各国の主権や文化が損なわれてきたという現実があります。こうした流れへの民衆の反発こそが反グローバリズムであり、日本人ファーストの政治運動です。このうねりは、グローバルエリートが既存メディアを使って世論をコントロールしようとする動きを超えて、SNS などを通じて、欧米を中心に世界中に広がっています。我が国の理念や活動は、こうした世界の潮流の中から生まれたものです。
いかがだったでしょうか。トランプ大統領のヨーロッパへの警告は、そのまま日本にも通じるような気がしてなりません。トランプ大統領が言うように、国家を超えた移民を推進する意思の存在があるならば、なおさらです。そしてその懸念を払拭してくれる政治家や政党は、果たしてどこなのか。残念ながら、今回のこの神谷代表の質問に対する高市首相の答弁に関しては、論評しようがないというのが正直な感想です。極めて官僚的な、どちらとも取れるような表現が多く、自民党総裁選の所信表明の時のような熱量は感じられなかったからです。SNS では、高市総理には失望したという意見もあれば、もともと期待していなかった、判断するには時期尚早と様々ですが、当チャンネルのスタンスとしても、もう少し様子見かなという思いです。と同時に、高市首相の誕生の一因となったように、今後において、ますます参政党の存在意義が高まったと感じています。少なくとも外国人問題に関しては、来年1月に、閣僚会議による取りまとめの報告がなされるとのこと。おそらくそこで、今以上に色々なことが見えてくるでしょう。多くの人は、差別なんてしたくないはずです。そして頑張って働いたら、働いた分だけ報われる社会を望んでいます。そういった願いを叶えてくれるのはどこか。今後も高市政権、並びに他の政党の動向を注視したいところです。ぜひ、皆さんのご意見もお聞かせくださいね。立ち上がれ、日本人。ご視聴ありがとうございました。